where to go next? You mentioned Bill Gates. I'm very curious what this panel thinks. Should Bill Gates be dictating public policy? And how do we feel about that? And then some of his interests and patents in and also in the vaccines. So I get your thoughts on it, and then a question for the panel.
So let's just ask the question. How many people think that Bill Gates should not be dictating health policy because he has no medical training, scientific training whatsoever? Should not be dictating healthcare policy.
Hands up if we do that. Someone's put 2 hands up. Okay. Should not be dictating public policy. Okay. I'm trying to 2 hands up.
Look at the doctors. We have 164 doctors on here. I just, again, want to thank everybody for being here. I really appreciate that.
Yeah, and I appreciate everybody doing this with your cameras on and your names up there. I mean, it just means a lot. So I appreciate you just putting your thoughts out there. And
Dr. John Minarkic is like waving his hands. He's that adamant that Bill Gates should not be dictating policy.
What else do we need to say about Bill Gates' involvement in all this, Dr. Buttar?
All right, I'm going to ask you a question, Brian, and I'm going to then ask the audience this question too, that are listening to us. And of course, we're going to ask the doctors. I'm about to release a video that was one of the most disturbing things that I've seen, but it's Bill Gates giving a presentation to the CIA on a vaccine that will alter how a person believes based upon the effects that the vaccine will have on a certain part of the brain to get rid of extremist, people with an extreme belief in fanatical religious component that we're talking about, but which is basically anybody who believes in whatever their religion is, it will get rid of or supposedly focus in on getting rid of that component in a personality. So they're talking about altering personality using a vaccine that he's giving a briefing to the CIA. Now, would you find that to be disturbing, Brian?
Yeah, that does sound a little disturbing. Sounds like population mind control is what that sounds like.
And yes, exactly. And I'm going to put this on YouTube, but I know it's going to get shut down, but I'm going to probably send that to you for you to put that video up too.
Yeah.
We're going to have some components to it. So let's ask the doctors, how many people think how many people find that disturbing?
And maybe state that question one more time. Okay. So disturbing that Bill Gates would be proposing that type of medication to the U.S. government. Okay. Again, it's
a vaccine that targets certain areas of the brain to change personality and belief system.
Again, it seems like this really woke everyone up. Seems like Bill Gates' involvement presses a lot of buttons for the medical community. Why is that?
Because it's like all these doctors here telling Bill Gates what to do with Microsoft Windows, right? So I've said this before, and I've heard many people say this. He couldn't keep viruses out of Windows. How's he going to keep viruses out of the human system? Right. And this is another interesting thing, Brian. Maybe we should even ask this question. And I'm going to make this statement. I've made this before. I know that some people may not understand this, so I'm going to hopefully be able to I know I have a friendly group of doctors here, so I'm going to make this case and see how many people agree with this. So you have the conventional virological model, and then you have what I call the more evolved virological model that would be explained by somebody like Steiner, who explained this. So viruses are seen as causing disease. However, viruses are a vital part of the human system, and without viruses, we would have never, ever survived. We have evolved because of viruses. We are actually a viral system. Now, the more advanced virological model is, remember, viruses aren't alive, they're not dead. They're RNA, DNA fragments. And my belief is, which goes along with what Steiner had taught, 100 years ago or so, and that some of the other doctors that you have also interviewed, Brian, they have a similar belief pattern. But this is what I believe. I believe that viruses live inside cells. When we are exposed, and again, my philosophy is a little bit different, but it's basically the same thing. When we are exposed to some type of a toxicological event, or when our environment significantly changes, in order for our body to adapt and to survive, we go through this change. And that change is a release of these viruses. And it's almost like mini messages that are sent out, like emails that are sent out to all our compadres, to all our other people in our environment, in our social circles, people that we know, people that are friends, people that are close to us. Obviously, it's not going to affect somebody on the other side of the planet, but it cascades. It's a evolutionary process to send out this message saying this system, this body just was exposed to X, Y, and Z, and it's releasing a message letting everybody else know that, hey, this thing, whatever the changes, whatever the environmental changes, the virus ends up helping us to evolve because it's a signal, it's a message, it's an email to other people, to other systems to evolve and be able to adjust to that change. So it's a evolutionary adaptogenic process, the release of viruses. And so I believe that when things happen like this, they're happening to help us become more resistant to the environment that we're living in. Think of dinosaurs versus alligators and sharks. Dinosaurs couldn't adapt to the environment, but sharks and alligators could, and that's why they survived the change in climate or whatever the changes were, the planetary changes. And so that adaptogenic response, in a way it's a mutagenic response, right, allows us to evolve. And I believe the viruses play that crucial role. That's what my belief system is, and that's based on Steiner's work. So I'm just curious to see how many doctors agree that viruses are really, we're a viral system and viruses are an adaptogenic process. Yes, it will cause certain symptoms and changes, but that's the body going through a change. So how many people believe that viruses are an adaptogenic component?
So basically you're saying necessary to human evolution and necessary to process. Okay. All right, hands up if you do.
I'm just going to count the no's here. I see 1, 2, 3.
If you just keep everybody's hands up. Okay.
4.
Probably 75% maybe.